Good afternoon. Myself, Professor Ramesh Chandra Gaur, Dean Academics and Head Kalanidhi Division, Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, extend a very hearty welcome to all of you to this International Archives Week celebrations being organized by Kalanidhi Division of Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts. As you all know that on the initiative of International Council of Archives, since 2009, International Archives Day is celebrated on 9th June 2000 every year. And during that week, a week-long programs are being organized. So in this series, yesterday we have a webinar on digital heritage experiences. And next in series today, we have a online talk on archival science education and training in India, issues and challenges by a very eminent speaker, Dr. Meena Gautam, who has retired as a Deputy Director from National Archive of India and Director of National Mission on Monuments and Antiquities, both Ministry of Culture institutions. So I extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Gautam and thanks you for your kind acceptance to our invitation to deliver this talk. Before introducing today's speaker and going further, let me just say a few words about this program and also about Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts. As you all know that during this International Archive Weeks, various organizations, archives and libraries all over the world are organizing various programs. And at IGNCA, we have a week-long program. As I mentioned yesterday, we have a webinar on digital heritage. Today, we have talk on archival science education. Tomorrow, we'll be organizing an international webinar on the occasion of Archives Day, where President of International Council of Archives, ICA, and also the Director of National Archives of Australia will be the keynote speaker. I will be having very other eminent speakers, including speaker from US and also we have some academics, and our member secretary, Dr. Sachidanand Joshi, will also he will be chairing the tomorrow's discussion. Then on 10th, we have a webinar on various kind of resources available in Ministry of Culture institution, where we'll be showcasing the various works done by IGNCA in this regard. And on last day of this week-long celebration on Friday, that is 11th, we'll be having a international webinar on language documentation and digital archiving, where we have speakers from US and Germany and from India. UNESCO representative will also be there as a guest of honor, Mr. Ezekiel Delamani. So we have planned this discussion to create an awareness about various kind of libraries and archives resources, and also to introduce the policymakers, reiterating the importance of libraries and archives. So today's talk in this direction is very, very significant, because we know archival science as a subject is still not very well taken in India, except a few certificate courses and important one from National Archive. We don't have many programs in this direction. So there is a, because we need to understand, yesterday when we were attending the program, there was a there was a discussion on use of modern technology, and in this context I think use of ontology, semantic web, that's a beyond metadata capturing, and also we are talking about new knowledge representation. So in this context, without having a formal education in archival science, and along with that awareness about new technology, it's very difficult for the new generation of archivists to understand the challenges and issues ahead of them. So in this direction, it is very important that both policymakers and planners and the people who are managing the library and archives, particularly archives, and also the users. They have to come together to have a roadmap that what kind of manpower we really need. And in this context, archival science education is very important. And we are very fortunate today that Dr. Meena Gautam has done a wonderful study on this subject as a project of Indian Council of Historical Research, SHR project. She has done some wonderful work which she will be presenting to us today. So we'll discuss later during discussion more about this. Now, without taking more time in this regard, let me just introduce today's speaker, Dr. Meena Gautam, a doctorate from University of Delhi. She started her career as a teacher, teaching undergraduate student in Delhi University before joining National Archive. And she served in National Archive for almost 34 years and retired as a deputy director, and then went to join National Mission on Monuments and Integrity as a director and served there for about 2 years. And during that, her tenure, she has written a number of articles, contributed chapter in books, and National Archives. She also important play a very important role in education in archives. Like she was the managing the School of Archival Study in National Archive. She also even now she is the member of the advisory board of that School of Archival Studies. And she has represented in Indian archival community in various international conferences, presented papers, invited talks in Canada, in UK, in Australia, in Netherlands, in US, and many more countries. And her work is tremendous, and she has also contributed significantly in terms of literature. She has written three books. One, Indian Communal Politics from 1928 to 35, before independence. Second book, Handbook of Information on National Archives of India, under RTI Act 2005. And the third publication is Archival Education India, a research project study, which is in the process of publication. And beside that, she has done a wonderful work at Monument, National Mission on Monument and Antiquities. So a very dedicated and devoted person in the field of archival science. She has groomed a number of youngsters. I know several of them recognize her contribution in training them formally and informally. So we are delighted to have Dr. Meena Gautam. And this particular discussion we are talking about here is a basically 2-year project funded by ICHR, affiliated with National Museum Institute, deemed university, and as project has completed and publication is under processing. It will be the great opportunity to know from our experiences and study that what is the vision for archival science education. She is very passionate about teaching, still associated with the JDM and Mata Sundari College and giving classes to undergraduate students on add-on courses on archival museology and culture, and different subjects related to archival system, archives and other areas. So I welcome you, Dr. Meena Gautam, and feel honored inviting to deliver today's talk. So now I request you to please start your talk.
Thank you, Dr. God, for such a nice introduction, which I'm really delighted to be part of this international webinar, which you are hosting. And really, I'm so privileged to be here, sharing my experiences of archival science that I have been associated for the last 35 years or so, maybe more than that. And archival science education and training, rather, I've been associated not only as a faculty but also as a archivist working in National Archives for a pretty long period. And while working on this project, I've been fortunate to have a conversation with a lot of people around. And before starting this talk on archival science education and training in India, it is really a neglected area of study, as where you have very well set the agenda and made my work more easy to proceed with my lecture. So thank you so much for such a nice introduction also. So if with your permission, if I can start with the lecture. Good afternoon, all dear friends and participants and the panelists. And while talking about archives, we only remember National Archives of India, whereas it is not the case. And by archives and introducing the subject, as we all know, archives are custodians of the memory of the nation, and we are part of the documentary heritage. Why? Because they are authentic and are incredible source of information of the past events and activities of the government, societies, community, and the people at large. We need an effective records and archives management system, as they are basic elements of good governance. Archives help in rule of law and in bringing administrative transparencies with the documented information, and access to the information is now a fundamental right of the citizens and other users of archives. Hence, archives need to be conserved and preserved by trained professional archivists for posterity and to ensure that they are accessible too at the same time. Now, the main issue is that when archives are there, the main issue is that how to manage archives. That is the role of an archivist, and he is indispensable for undertaking all kinds of activities in archives, not only as the custodian, but also to sustain, maintain, and make archives accessible to the users. And for preserving, conserving, and making archives accessible, there is a need of having trained professional archivists. So a professional archivist has to work not only himself or within archives, but has to work in close collaboration with other trained professionals in the field, like record managers, conservators, IT experts, educators, artists, and above all, the users of archives. And these users of archives are historians, research scholars, and other users. So under RTI also, it has added further value to the profession of an archivist to preserve information in all the three stages that we all talk about: current records, semi-current, and in the non-current stage. Because records reach archive, when they reach archives, they enter the third stage, that is the non-current stage. Until they reach archives as part of our documentary heritage, also archivist has a role to play along with record managers. So in this, for this whole exercise, there is need of trained archivists, because without training, it's not that easy to undertake all these kinds of services that we know and we all talk about. Now, why this training, need of archival training? Those who know the archival science and they've been reading and dealing with archives, the famous Sir Hilary Jenkinson, who is the author of the Manual of Archives Administration from UK, written in 1922. There in 1946, that he is commenting regarding the archival training. He says that to turn out trust with the archivist soundly, well versed in the principles, and they should be well versed in the principles of archival science, having reached one of the certain agreed standards of proficiency in the theory and practice of archive work, with some crucial actual experience of archive repository and their administration. That means he's talking about so many aspects about the training that to become trustworthy archivists. So National Archives of India in the Indian context is the premier body in the country, and as under the Public Record Act and rules of 1993 and 1997 has the mandate to conserve and preserve the archives of the Union Government of India, as they are kept in the custody of the National Archives. They are not the owners, but they are the custodians under the Public Record Act, and they are the nodal agency. And one of the duties that under this act given to National Archives is to train the archivists for the purpose of keeping those archives, not only maintaining them, sustaining them, making them accessible, but also to make available the trained workforce of the archivists for the other institutions in the country. So archival training was a very, very important aspect that NAI has to cater to from the very beginning, even before the passing of the Public Record Act. After independence, all the provinces and the princely states, more than 500 of them, had number of archives were there, but they had no trained professionals to put their record offices in order. Besides National Archives, as they required large number of trained archivists in the country at the time of the independence of the country. Indian Historical Records Commission, it is an advisory body which was established in 1919 by the British government on matters connected with proper management of records and their use for historical research, and its research and publication committee. They had also realized, and they have been recommending, and the need of training for the archivists, and also of the post-war reorganization after, that is after the Second World War, and to have organized archives offices in India. Even now, most of the states and union territory archives, they have no such training facilities that I will reveal subsequently. Besides a number of other archives in the country that have emerged, like institutional archives of the public sector undertakings, the universities, the business corporate houses, banking sector, and the private sector also, who require services of trained professionals, like other archives. So they all need trained professional archivists, not only in conventional methods, but also well versed in modern technology and methods and means to conserve, preserve, and make accessible both traditional and digital archives, as they need to train archivists. Now, coming to the status of archival education in India, because the study of archival science is one of the most neglected areas of study, and there are very few institutions imparting archival training besides the School of Archival Studies in National Archives of India, which Dr. Gaur also emphasized in the beginning. And there is lack of awareness and absence of archival training institutions, and it is a constraint resulting in less demand and supply of trained archival professionals. Archival science education and training is a multidisciplinary and at the same time an independent subject of study. And we need to train archivists at various levels, not only at graduation, post-graduation, and PhD level also. And with the introduction of ICT, that is information and communication technology, in archival theory and practices, it is essential to reconsider afresh the basics of theory and practices of archival science being taught and practiced to make the study of the subject more relevant to modern needs in view of digitized digital source material besides our conventional traditional archives. Hence, with this objective in view, I had taken up a 2-year project with the support of ICHR, Indian Council of Historical Research, to evaluate the status and to promote archival science education and training in our schools, colleges, and universities in a formal way. Before discussing the issues and challenges, it is desirable first to assess and evaluate the current status of archival science education and training facilities in India briefly in a historical perspective. So historically, the subject of archival education and training in India was never a subject of discussion of the colonial government. If we go back in the historical background, and that the government of colonial government was never interested to promote archival education and training in India, even to establish the archives. In spite of the fact that UK Public Record Office Act was, the office was established in 1838 by passing of the Public Record Office Act of 1838, but it was not extended to its colonial government for upkeep of records and archives. The purpose of establishment of Imperial Record Department in 1891 was only administrative, And it was only to preserve some records, useful records for administrative purpose, and clear the space for removing them from the public offices. Now, instead of appointing archivists as they were doing in England, or as we find in many of the Western countries, they preferred publication of selected documents. And if you visit National Archives of India Archival Library, you will find that there are many such documented selections from records published during the first half of the 20th century. There are selections from records or educational records and like that from other foreign department record series, and then calendar of Persian correspondence, that they had a very ambitious publication program in the early part of the 20th century instead of promoting training of archives or appointing archivists. Not even they were ready to give access to the records. So, in spite of the greater demand from the Indian historians, and because they were in 1919 IHRC was constituted, eminent historians were also there, like Jaduna Sarkar, Rushbrook Williams. They were all in favor of giving access to records also. But Indian citizens, or they used to call them natives, they were not given access to archives before 1939. Now, archival training was not given due attention before independence. NAI was only providing some in-service training in preservation of records since 1920, with weightage given to science graduates, then history graduates, but not training professional archivists for the future. It was just for some kind of in-service training, which was started in 1920, just to conserve and preserve the record. That was the only main motto. So 1 year diploma course in archive keeping was formally started only in 1952 after a number of experiments since 1942. Because in between 1942 to 52, we find that there were multiple courses being run by the Imperial Record Department of the National Archives after independence. There was a 2 year diploma course, there was 1 year diploma course, and there was 6 months program. All the three courses running simultaneously, and there was no proper faculty, there was no proper space. Multiple number of courses was also a limitation. So, with all these experiments and trials, finally in 1952 they decided to have an intensive comprehensive training program, that is 1 year diploma course in archives keeping as it was known, and started in 1952 by discontinuing other two courses. So special arrangements were made for the training of candidates sponsored by the government departments and the record officers in any practical aspect of the record keeping or record preservation. And the date and duration of the training was fixed in consultation with the sponsoring body in accordance with their convenience. And development of archives, it became part of the 5 year plan, and particularly from third 5 year plan, and was included also and as part of the state plans, and for expansion of the scheme of training in archives keeping, so that they can get funding from the center for promoting this education, archival education, and from the center at least, and for development of archives as they had started, because there were 15 states. By reorganizing the provinces and merging the many of the princely states at the time, there were 15 states, and there were record offices coming up by transfer and merger of the record offices of different, you can say, in the provinces or the states joining the same states of that time. More than 500 that we know princely states were merged due to that integration of that India that has taken place after independence, and to meet the current needs of the administration and for historical research also, which was very much in demand. And it was also aimed to impart archival training to officials working in the state archives, record rooms of the secretariats, ministries and department, district record rooms, besides developing their own archives in every aspect. Particularly till date, National Archives of India had no rules and regulations to manage the records in the ministries and departments, or to get the records transferred to National Archives. It was only at the will and pleasure of the ministries and department as and when they would like to transfer their records. So at that time, even NAI was also working like it, departmental record office, because the records which were transferred were welcome also. And after this, next slide, please. An archival legislative committee was constituted and appointed in 1959, and it's under the chairmanship of Dr. Tarajan, and it submitted its report in 1960. It is a very comprehensive, detailed report, and till day it works as a Bible to us to work for the archival science or the requirements of the archival, not only education, but even organizing, how to organize offices and to work in an archives. It is really a very comprehensive report that I have come across so far. And regarding the, archival training, this recommendation of this archival legislative committee and this report, they had recommended, and it was a very good recommendation from my side, which I am examining now. It recommended creation of special archival cadre of not more than 3 ranks of officers. And one was the keeper, the head of the archives, as a second assistant keeper senior, and assistant keeper junior. All recruitment to be made at the junior level of the assistant keeper, that is junior. The committee believed that recruiting archivists at a very young age and promoting them to higher posts as they gain experience of working in archives was the only way by which the shortcomings in the present system of recruitment or selection could be removed. Because the committee, during 1 year of its tenure, it has visited mostly all the provinces in the country, including the princely states, the record offices. They had held discussions, interactions. I have come across these files and the briefings that has been noted down and taken care of during this period by this committee members. And then they recommended that all appointments were to be made only by the Union Public Service Commission, including for the states also, not only for the center, on the basis of a written test, just like for IAS administrative service, after which they should be given training in different aspects of archives keeping in the National Archives. Because that was the only body that till then was holding training or doing this training course. Only on the successful completion of such training should an appointee be regarded fit for being posted in the appropriate division. And this training was to be meant for 1 year once they are selected. And this was the viewpoint of the committee regarding the mode of selection and archival training of archivists and the formation of their cadre both in the states and the National Archives of India. The reforms suggested by the Archival Legislation Committee in the training course were based on the presumption that the recommendations regarding recruitment of archivists would be acceptable to both the states and the Government of India. If accepted, it involves substantive changes in the administrative structure also of the respective archival organizations in the center and the states, including selection of the requisite staff. As there were divergent views on the committee's recommendation regarding the training of archivists. After carefully examining the matter, the Government of India did not find it possible to introduce the system of training in archives as recommended by the committee for several years to come, as the scheme did not get much support from the state government. Because there was a cry for the archival law also, and there was no unanimous opinion regarding having one archival law for the whole all total archives that is centered in the states, because in that kind of a democratic setup, state governments were not willing to be part of to be at the command of the central government. So both in regard to the training itself as well as to the method of recruitment as suggested by the committee, they were not acceptable to the state government. But some of the states rightly suggested promotion of archival training courses in the universities with the ultimate idea of setting up of schools of archivists to cater to the needs of central and the state governments. IHRC members remain neutral as they felt, because they were by now the constitution of the IHRC had also undergone changes. There were many professors appointed. There were many corresponding members from the international bodies also since 1942. And there were professors from colleges and universities. So they felt it would not be practical to implement the committee recommendation and supported continuation of the existing training facilities in NEI. It would have been profitable to have examined the recommendation as a long-term plan. And this is what I feel, with the possibility of transforming the archival services into an all India service. However, that never happened as no one took up the challenge, and no one wanted, who will bell the cat. That was the situation. So nobody tried to even experiment on the basis of the recommendations made by the legislative committee. Though an ideal scheme which would have otherwise laid down the ground to have organized cadre for the all India services of the archivists in the country in near future, but implementation was a problem as it presupposed the existence of central and state archival repository with certain minimum standards, which were not there, however, which did not exist in regard to the professional activities and uniformity in regard to the status and salary of the staff employed in the center and in the state by them. These presumptions were far from reality and not correct. As such, the recommendations were gradually losing support. So Indian universities also did not possess the required facilities. The competence of the staff for the lecture was not there. Competent staff was not there. Even the universities of London and Washington, because during this study, I've studied the system in USA and other countries also, what kind of education they were imparting. And they also depended on their national archives for supporting, for delivering lectures and even for practical purposes. So Delhi University was the only university perhaps which could have started the program with the support of part-time services of officers of National Archives of India for lectures and practical training. But one thing which I have come across during this period and till the big end of the this 20th century, that the quality of archival education and training which was being imparted by the National Archives of India was of international standard. The lectures, the practicals they were conducting, because which I will share later, they have been appreciated by archivists all over the world. But this was within India, they were universities were not prepared to share this kind of education or to begin their teaching this discipline, because I've come across the efforts being made by the National Archives to get affiliation with the universities right from the beginning, right from 1942 onwards. So I've come across files that they are all trying to get affiliation with some university, which, however, they were not given proper response. But this was never happened. And in the given situation, the practical approach was only to continue with the existing training scheme of the National Archives of India, because so far no other institution or university or organization in the country has started teaching this education of archival science. Now, Parliamentary Estimate Committee in their 16th report had noted that all due care was being taken by NAI to maintain the quality and not the number. Means they were concerned more about the quality and not the number of students. And the archival training was not being taken casually. Means they were all serious about the training also, in spite of the limitations of the space, limitations of the staff, even limitation of the textbooks that I have come across, because most of the books that they were using were published in the Western European countries. So in India also, we didn't have the textbooks also. We had to depend on the publication of the Western European archivists. So the course was getting popular, and students were being sponsored by the state archives, ministries, departments of central and state governments, universities and learned institutions, besides being sponsored from Afro-Asia region by UNESCO, German Foundation, and under Colombo Plan by governments of Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. And during this period from 1960-70 to 2000, I have seen that the number of students coming more than 10, 15 in certain batches coming from Africa and Malaysia and Afro-Asian countries to do this one-year diploma course in archival science, because there was no other institution imparting this kind of training or having facilities of A standard. Good development was that some of the states, Andhra State Archives, started training in Persian, paleography, and diplomatics, which was customized according to their own requirements. Means they wanted to fulfill their own requirement, that of their own state archives, then to train the archivists for the other institutions also. Till date, while I visited the Osmania University and now Telangana State Archives, because it has been bifurcated, Telangana and Andhra State Archives, because they are collaborating and they are imparting this one-year diploma course. They have limited number of seats. Osmania University is doing 12 number of seats only, but still they have not introduced even teaching of computer science, that we are that ICT, the digitization, the computerization which is taking place. Their students are not being taught all these kind of services that an archivist is supposed to render. They're only outsourcing the work they are doing regarding digitization and other things. So they also started training of record clerks in the collectorate offices. That is, in-service training was started by some of the state archives. Like Punjab and Madras record offices also, they made arrangements for training of mending and binding. Kerala also started with an in-service intensive training in archives preservation and administration, a course in archives keeping for the staff of the department of 3 months duration, more practical based. And they also want, when they are recruiting that their people, they also learn the script, that because they are having many records in their own vernacular languages also, and old scripts also. So they want their archivists to be trained in that language also, so that they can cater to the requirements of the archives in preparing the reference media or their inventories for use by the scholars. Now, IHRC adopted a resolution to recommend to the government that universities and the UGC to make provision for archival training and for the creation of Department of Archives along with the History Department in the universities. Now, my experience of the university archives and the archival cell or the university archive that has been developed, because during this project study, I had the chance to visit all the 3 university archives in Delhi, Jamia Millia Islamia, Delhi University, and JNU. In the name of archives, of course, they have good archives which have been established only in the early part of the 20th century, 2004, and in between 2004 and 2006, that we all know about. But regarding their own administrative records and their own administrative archives, I have yet to come across any organized archives in any of the 3 universities. And the problem when the UGC and IHRC, they were passing resolutions during 1970s, and right from 1949 that I am talking about. The problem was twofold: that the lack of arrangement for practical training in the universities, and secondly, scope of absorbing the trained archivists. But at least a modified resolution was adopted as per recommendation of the IHRC, that UGC to provide financial assistance to the universities for archival training facilities, those who wanted to, and during the 5th five-year plan period. And the UGC did issue circular to the universities who were interested to establish their archival cell, but as part of the library only. And even they wanted to sanction some staff also, an archivist, a conservator, and for assistant keeper to help the archives as part of the library only. By earlier resolution, the university had been requested to entrust the care of their records to officers who had training in archives keeping. And I remember visiting Punjab University also established an archival cell. While I visited their cell as part of this project study, the cell was more or less just in the name, and there was nobody looking after. Just it is there for the namesake only, having the curriculum of different courses of being conducted by the university, but no records that we know. And a number of universities, they welcomed the resolution and assured to take necessary action. And in 1970, just to share some information, the universities were addressed again and proposal urging the university to set a model archival cell. Even they constituted a committee, UGC constituted a committee for recruitment also, with Director National Archives also as member and with some professors as members. But after that, I didn't come across any file regarding the recruitment of archivists in any university archives or things like that. So to the universities by the UGC as per this resolution in 1949 and the report submitted in this Jadavpur session of IHRC in 1967, the status reported was that Aligarh and Delhi University has appointed archivists to look after the records. At least this information tells that archives were established in Delhi University and in Aligarh University also. Archivists were appointed also at that point of time, but they didn't continue with that zeal to have their archives are there, and but not the way we work. Osmania University had a record section. They do have a running course, a one-year diploma course in collaboration with the state archives that I have seen. Universities of Berhampur and Magadh decided to open archival cells, but it is just on record. Bombay and Burdwan University had accepted the resolutions, and universities of Allahabad, Madras, Maharaja Satya Sayaji Rao, the University of Baroda, Rajasthan, and Venkateshwar were unable to implement due to paucity of funds because they were not having funds, and was under consideration by the University of Guwahati, Gujarat Vidyapeeth, Kurukshetra, and Sagar. Then just to share a slide and some information regarding the university archives or archival training, if they were at all interested in. And I think it never happened. Now, on the basis of recommendations of the Archival Legislation Committee, the Government of India could not enact an archival law immediately, but the Cabinet adopted an archival policy resolution of 1972 because the states were not interested in a common archival law. And further, there were other problems also because the government had to amend the constitution because it is being a state subject. So that there were limitations. So they adopted an archival policy resolution, at least to take care of the records of the union government. So as per this APR of 1972, at least it helped in streamlining the work as it laid down a well-defined policy in respect of all the records of the record management, appraisal, recruitment of records, equally stressed need for trained personnel to run these departmental record rooms of the ministries, because at least all the ministries, all the government departments, all the institutions, they have their record rooms. And besides other aspects of records management to improve the functional relationship between the department record rooms and the National Archives. As an outcome of this APR, NAI started 2 short-term certificate courses on records management for departmental record officers and preservation of record that was for 6 weeks duration. This archival policy resolution, however, remained silent about the training scheme of the archives keeping that National Archives was running and categorically only spoke about training of record officers and the staff working in the departmental record room. Institute of Archival Training, yes. The Institute of Archival Training was established as a separate branch in National Archives with full-time staff with due approval of the Government of India in December 1976. And it was as part of this development, Swarbika, I see that we all know, and Dr. Gaur also spoke about it. The Swarbika Southwest Asia Regional Branch of IC was established at New Delhi the same year in 1976. And it also recognized Archival and Training Institute as UNESCO's center, approved regional center for archival training for South Asia and Southeast Asia region. Thereby, it enhanced the credibility of the institute because the team which visited National Archives before recognizing this institute as the center for the training for South Asia and Southeast Asia region, they had visited archives and they had visited and met the faculty, the facilities which were existing, and they commented that they found archival training at NAI attuned to international standards and its suitability to the region. And their representative, Charles Kismeti, UNESCO representative at the first meeting of the Swarvika at New Delhi, he made a number of suggestions and in order of priority included setting up regional training center for training of professional and technical experts on archives administration and archival science with the proper machinery to survey the national and regional requirements and developments. It also recommended affiliation of this center with the Delhi University, the Department of Library Science. And I've come across such records that even Director National Archives had been trying his best by writing to Delhi University, to Jamia Millia Islamia, and subsequently JNU also, which was coming up, to provide affiliation. But for some technical reasons, all the three universities, they could not extend affiliation to the this Training Institute of Archival Science at National Archives. And to streamline the curriculum, but we were doing our job. And to streamline the training curriculum, Government of India approved establishment of the Board of Studies, established in 1980 with director as the chairman and with 4 expert members, 2 each. That is, there were 2 experts, 2 professors of history from the universities to be the member of this Board of Studies, and 2 archival experts. That was to be done on nomination basis to design the syllabi and mode of implementation of the various courses by the school. Board of Studies and the modernization of curriculum, that was the major exercise that was done during this 1980. While framing the curriculum, the board was to take into account the latest modern archival trends and training needs of the archival institution in India and abroad. Since then, the board has played a vital role in modernization of syllabus of the diploma and other courses. Until date, they are doing it. The board also raised the issue of affiliation of the school and unanimously approved its affiliation to Delhi University and or any other university, which however have not materialized till date. Affiliation was to bring academic accreditation of the school by some university so that diploma certificate being awarded may carry greater acceptability and could be treated at par with that awarded by the universities in the light of UNESCO's inclination to convert the school into the UNESCO Center for Archival Studies in South Asia. And board approved the revised curriculum of the one-year diploma course and rationalized the papers from 9 to 6. Club Conservation and Reprography as 1 paper and approved 6 papers for the course. And Archives Administration, Record Management, Conservation and Reprography, Administrative History, Archival Library and Information System, and Dissertation, preceded by Orientation Course in History and Evolution of Archives. Archival Training Institution was renamed in view of this requirement as School of Archival Studies in February 1980. After its recognition as foremost of its kind in the Afro-Asia region, candidates from many developing countries like Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Botswana, Kenya, Malawi, Malaysia, Nigeria, Sudan, and Thailand, they underwent training in NAI. And during the 4 years, 81 to 84, you can just see 44 candidates underwent training in the diploma course and 164 in various short-term courses that were conducted by the National Archives, that is Record Management, Archives Management, Care and Conservation, Reprography at professional level, and Servicing and Repair of Records at the sub-professional level, that proving its popularity in the region. Now, private candidates seeking admission to the diploma course in archival studies are now subjected to an entrance test admitted on merit basis since 87-88, and while sponsored candidates will continue to be admitted on nomination basis. And to augment the teaching faculty in the school, fellowship program was also introduced in 1985, aimed to promote research and development in the field of archives, preparation of suitable reading material for the trainees and the professionals in archives repositories in the third world countries, undertaking consultancy services in and improvement of the standard of training at SAS. The scheme offered 2 senior and 2 junior fellowship. Our faculty even visited schools in Africa established by UNESCO as the expert faculty, and many of them under exchange program they went and shared their expertise and taught the subjects there. As an outcome, produced some standard textbooks on various subjects, particularly on conservation, reprographics, and record management for teaching and reference purpose. The board also examined the scheme of correspondence course introduced by NAI in 1978 and unanimously was of the view that such a course cannot impart practical training, so it was discontinued. SAS started short-term training courses in all disciplines of archival science because the departments could not depute their staff for training for full 1 year. So it was for their benefit. And with the support of the board and the faculty, the school gained a lot of ground academically and administratively. And UNESCO offered even $12,000 for upgrading the school as an aid from UNESCO. And UNESCO also funded many of the foreign students during this period of their training under various programs and gave financial assistance for training of some of its faculty by supporting their deputation abroad for archival science education and training. The Public Record Act and archival training, with the passing of this Public Record Act in 1993, and sorry to note that after 100 years of establishment of our Imperial Recording Department of the National Archives, we were able to get enacted this Public Record Act, and it mandated NAI to organize training programs in various disciplines of archives administrations and records management. Now, it empowered the DG National Archives to lay down norms and standards for courses, curricula, assessment, and examination pattern relating to the training in archival science and other ancillary subjects, and lay down guidelines for training of archivists. Besides training of record officers in the Union Ministry's department, attached and subordinate offices manning departmental record repositories, even public sector undertakings were now brought under the purview of NAI. It was a big challenge for National Archives because they had to develop course material to train the departmental record officers of these public sector undertakings also. This is how we started training of departmental record officer, DRO training courses. Since then we had started and they are running till date. And training of their officers was initiated by the school in record management practices of current and semi-current records in the ministries and their departmental record rooms. This is different from the diploma course that NAI is conducting. Now, archival training in SWARBICA and SAARC countries. This is very, very important because member countries of SWARBICA, that is, you can say Iran, Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Maldives. They are broadly the members of this SWARBICA, and they have benefited greatly in a big way, as we don't charge any fee from the students coming for archival training from even SWARBICA and SAARC countries in particular. SWARBICA was established in 1976, and the same year Indian Institute of Training was also recognized as a UNESCO the Center for Training of South Asia and Southeast Asia region. So thereby we had a good standing, credible, you can say credibility attached to the institute. The aims and objective of SWARBICA is to sponsor professional training of archivists in the region and to organize training workshops as the prerequisite for the developing archives, facilitate international and regional collaboration, and sponsor professional training of the archivists in the region while following aims and objectives of ICA. SWARBICA and SAARC countries have been deputing their officers for various short-term and long-term training programs, and school had provided customized training also, apart from these regular training courses. And they have been providing customized training also to persons coming from Afghanistan, Bhutan, Myanmar, that is Burma, Iran, Gambia, Korea, Malaysia, Mauritius, Nigeria, Sudan, Tunisia, Uganda, in Genealogical Society, Utah, Oman. I mean, so many other countries you can name under cultural exchange program or under bilateral relations, and or the cooperation that India has with so many other countries. ICT and archival training. With this little background and this introduction of ICT and IT Act of 2000, and then we also had to upgrade and revise our syllabus, and the curriculum of the school was restructured scientifically in 2006. And fortunately, at this time, since 2005, I became the head of the school. I was posted as deputy director, head of the School of Archival Studies in 2006, with more stress on use of information and communication technology for teaching and practical work and hands-on training. And it was a challenge, and NIC helped in developing the syllabus and supported for 2 years with the faculty. And there are 4 compulsory core papers now: Archives Administration, Public Record Management, Conservation, Reprography, and ICT as a core paper that now we are imparting training to the students. There are 2 optional papers, specialization. So there are 4 compulsory, this I have referred to, and 2 specialization paper: business and private archives and archival libraries and documentation. A student has to opt for one of these papers. Writing of dissertation based on archival sources is compulsory. School has an upgraded infrastructure of modular conservation and computer lab as a support system for learning and practicing conservation methods, and to learn all the basic skills of use and operation of computers as part of their ICT paper. Lecture cum conference rooms are equally furnished with modern equipment and teaching aid, empowering the faculty and the students. Archival internship, and it is mandated 6 months internship training. It has been an added incentive offered to pass out private students of the diploma course, where it is a paid internship program. Currently, there are 20 scholarships being provided, and it's a very comprehensive training program that one this process. And the curriculum transaction methodology includes lecture, practical, written assignment, field study to any of the 2 state archives or business archive, guest faculty, workshops on latest trends in Indian history, archives management that are being organized, conservation technology, and other disciplines of the archival science. Now I come to the findings of the project study after such a long detailed sharing of the training that is being imparted. Now the findings of the project study that of archival science is one of the most neglected areas of study, because people don't join this course out of choice. There are very few institutions imparting archival training besides the School of Archival Studies in NAI. Efforts were made to review the training program of the other institutions imparting education and training in archival science. The methodology that was adopted for archival research to collect data from the various available source material, both primary and secondary in NAI, and the records repository and the library. In view of the limited source material, oral interaction was held through field work by personally visiting various universities with the existing faculty and students, and analyze the requirement of trained manpower and resources besides other shortcomings. Besides oral interaction, data was also collected by online survey on the basis of questionnaires sent to the faculty and students of the university departments of history, teaching archival science as a subject, or having diploma or degree course syllabus and course curriculum. Institutions having archives available, trained manpower, and their infrastructure. Besides analyzing the status of archival education in the university sector, information received from the universities and archival institutions have been examined in detail, and the findings of the survey conducted and the fieldwork done along with visits to various universities and colleges, and the findings are really quite alarming. Some institutions and universities in India offer courses such as the PG certificate course in archives, PG diploma in archives keeping, PG diploma in archival studies, PG diploma in archival documentation and management, PG diploma in archival sciences and manuscriptology, etc. Many departments of history in Indian universities also offer 1 or 2 papers in archival science. We see that there is no uniformity in the curriculum being taught and the teaching methodologies being used. These programs may be grouped in 3 broad groups. First group may include regular full-time courses, diploma courses being conducted by NAI, IJNCA, Osmania University, Kerala Heritage Society, School of Cultural Text and Records, CTR, Jadavpur University, that I came across. And other group may include certificate courses being conducted by NAI, many of the state archives, Institute of Secretarial Training and Management, that is government body, ISTM, Indian Institute of Public Administration, both in the center and the states. This may also include orientation and refresher courses of short duration being conducted in-house by the archival institutions. The group includes colleges and postgraduate department of history teaching one or two papers on archival studies under UGC scheme. Like Tumkur University, which I visited and had the chance to interact with their postgraduate students in Karnataka. They're 200 kilometers from Bangalore. And undergraduate courses at BA Honors and BA program as part level under CBCS as part of the course. This is UG scheme semester based since 2016. Even Delhi University has introduced in their undergraduate colleges. Group 1 includes courses, theories, and practices given for academic credit as part of an academic program leading to award of the diploma. There are no degree courses being conducted in India so far by any university. Second group of institutions are all those conducting certificate courses of duration of 4 to 8 weeks or 3 months, etc., mostly being conducted by archives departments or some institutions like National Archives or some state archives, IGNCA, ISTM, etc. In colleges and universities, paper on archival studies are only part of a regular program in history or at graduate or postgraduate level, which, however, is not sufficient enough to prepare one to work as a professional archivist in an archival institution. Many of these courses offered by these institutions and universities, except NAI, impart only theoretical knowledge, whereas besides theoretical, one also needs a lot of practical experience for a successful career of an archivist. Besides SCS at NAI, some of the colleges offering UG, PG, or other related courses in archival science are no longer offering these courses except three. National Archives, Osmania University, in collaboration with the State Archives Telangana, earlier Andhra Pradesh, and Heritage Society of Kerala. And Gujarat Vidyapeeth Ahmedabad is no longer conducting any course as not getting students. Annamalai University in Tamil Nadu, Gandhigram, Rural Institute Gandhigram, then Dindegul, Pondicherry University, Pondicherry, Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati University, Ajmer, Berhampur University, and many more universities. They did not respond to any correspondence that I had tried to have with them, and was also checked on the website and these if these courses are listed as part of their other courses and programs, but they are not listed among the courses that are being offered by these universities. So some of these universities are mostly able to provide theoretical knowledge only. And for practical training, they have contact programs with some archival institutions like State Archives or any other institution of 1 or 2 months only. West Bengal is also doing this kind of service, which however is not sufficient for 1 or 2 master expertise in any subject. Comparatively, the training being imparted at the National Archives is much more comprehensive and intensive that I have come across. Archival training is still evolving in India as our survey widely establishes these facts. Different experiments are being made as we see at the archives of the Center of Biological Studies, Bangalore, because they hire interns even at graduate level, irrespective of their background, whether they are history students or students of science or any discipline at the school, and even at the School of Cultural Text and Record, Jadavpur University, and the IGNCA besides NAI. These institutes, those who are experimenting, particularly in Bangalore and at Jadavpur University, they're as per their own requirement because they are developing their own, in Jadavpur, they are developing their sound and film archives. So in classical music and that kind of thing they are doing, and they are training their own people and using them for their projects. This is as well, and they have the approval of the UGC also. And the Center of Biological Studies, they say we don't have funds to deploy full-time staff, so they are using in this way, hiring the interns, paying them periodically, and using them so they learn while they work. And this is a new trend they are doing. Like even Rajasthan State Archives in Bikaner I spoke to their director. He says that even they are also experimenting on this by training their own people for their own use, and they don't find this training of National Archives that much useful any longer that they feel. It is their own perspective. I don't subscribe to that, of course. But Godrej Archives, that is those business and commercial archives of the banking sector, I've spoken there also. They also find our training not useful as per their requirement, because the kind of collections they have, and this is in more detail I have discussed in my project study report, and I don't find much space and time also to discuss everything here, which I'm finding that I'm taking a lot of time. The truth is that the system has also to change with different patterns of emerging new archives in different areas, and the new challenges of the digital archiving and accessibility in digital environment, making things virtual and also accessible online. Now, the archivists of today are at the crossroads, facing challenge of the increasing volume of paper records, and at the same time with the boom of machine readable records and new medium of computers, tape, desks, and posing very complicated problems. The management of electronic records and to provide more resources to non-textual material, because funding and infrastructure are important aspects that we need to take care of for the developing the new curriculum, devising new methods for description, even for the digital archiving, and expanding access facilities, generating more research on the archival aspects of information management, strengthening and expanding the resources of the archival expertise. Even National Archive of India doesn't have that kind of facility. Everything being done by outsourcing, maintaining the role of the profession as trusted custodian of the interest of the society. We have to relook in the structure of the curriculum that is being supported by our ongoing archival teaching institutions. The new emerging modules of archival training as regular training programs in the international universities like University of Dandi. Besides, in India, there are many basic issues that we need to address as beginners in many places. And honest attempt has been made through this project study to draw the attention of the authorities, both the government system, the education setup in the university, UGC, and the affiliated colleges. One of the major obstacles to its further development and wider acceptance has been the absence of an academic affiliation and the accreditation for its program by the universities. The matter has since been revived during the past few years, and efforts are being made to affiliate the school with some university with the initiative of the Government of India. These courses are job-oriented courses, and this is an area where there is a lot of scope of employment also. This is my personal opinion. And there is shortage of not only trained archivists in the country, but equally shortage of archival training institutions. Another area which requires attention is international cooperation and the benefit that these archival institutions can draw from ICA, Swarvika, and UNESCO and other international bodies. We have challenges to meet in the field of archival science education and training, and India has yet to make a beginning. Universities in India need to modernize and update their curriculum and syllabus, keeping in view the development and advances made in the technology for conservation, maintenance, and use of records born digitally and to make them accessible. Indian archivists have minimum exposure nationally and internationally, as much as archivists for the European and Asian countries have. This is what we need to promote, and need to do mapping of archives and archival institutions in India in both public and private sector, because this will help us to promote employment of trained archivists. Because wherever I go, I don't find trained personnel working, trained archivists working. So promote archives as a dignified career option, both professionally and rewarding financially, so that people join the profession by choice and not out of compulsion. And the study of archival science is an interdisciplinary subject and further need to be integrated along with the study of library and information science. Just one or two slides to go, please bear with me. We have to relook in the structure of the curriculum that is being supported by our ongoing archival teaching institutions, the new emerging modules of the archival training as regular training programs in the international universities. Like University of Dandi offering courses like Masters in Archives and Records Management, Masters in Records Management with Digital Preservation, or Information Rights by online distance learning, as well as by enrolling at the Center for Archive and Information Studies. at the university to enroll in other courses on PG diploma, MLET, MSc program. Center also offers master degree and single courses for continuing professional development also, all by online distance learning. Likewise, International ICA also launched its online courses on organizing family archives because they are gaining a lot of importance. Introduction to records management, understanding and using the Universal Declaration on Archives that ICA adopted in 2011. This is a new trend, and these courses are expensive also, but they are meant for those who are already in the profession and would like to keep themselves relevant to the profession and updated and need to join these programs. Happily, some of our colleagues are also doing and are also utilizing the information available on the subject on various portals of archives besides ICA. These courses are job-oriented courses, and this is an area where there is a lot of scope of employment also, which I could feel and find during my field visits. There is shortage of not only trained archivists in the country, but equally shortage of archival training institutions, which I have been emphasizing all throughout. There is a lot of scope and the emerging archives, both in public, private, and corporate sector. There is crisis in the system of archival science education in the country, which I say, and that we are undergoing and do require drastic changes and efforts, both on the part of the government, the universities, and more on the part of archival community, the educationists, and above all, historians. I am emphasizing our historians and the community of the research scholars and the users of archives, because the irony is that they want to use archives to produce theses and books, but are not ready to accept archives and education of archival science as a fully fledged discipline. And they have to admit that it's a technical scientific subject of study like any other subject and more close to history, religious and family institutions, political science, business and management studies, because I'm the one that's teaching one paper on business archives, contemporary history, international affairs, information and library science, and more to scientific institution, because scientific archives are coming up, which I have seen in Bangalore. Now, even the Institute of Astrophysics have developed their own archives besides Center for Biological Studies, but they don't have trained manpower. So that means the scope is there to deploy trained archivists because of emerging archives of scientific and medical institutions. Subject touches almost all the areas of education development, including industry, labor, agriculture, applied sciences, multimedia, trade and commerce, and many more that one can easily visualize. It can be studied both as an independent subject of study and can also be taken up as an interdisciplinary subject of study, as has been taken up by the universities in the West and China in particular. Because ICA has brought out a directive of archival training institutions, and that includes only 3 countries from Asia: Israel, China, and Japan. It doesn't include any institution from India, including our School of Archival Studies, which started teaching since 1942. Even though it was reported to be meeting the archival training requirements of the Afro-Asian countries when it was duly recognized by UNESCO in 1980. Another area which requires attention is our international cooperation and the benefits that we can draw from archival institutions and bodies like ICA, the Swarbika, and UNESCO, and other international bodies, because they are producing a lot of literature for training of archivists on training and different aspects, but particularly on digital archiving that I have come across. And there are special organizations and bodies doing this kind of job. By joining them, we can benefit a lot. The matter has been since revived during the past few years, and efforts are being made to affiliate the school with some university, and the Government of India proposes to establish an Indian Institute of Heritage and Conservation under Ministry of Culture, and it shall have the status of a deemed university, and to bring all the training institutes, archaeology, museum, and the School of Archival Science under one umbrella. And hopefully Dr. God is the convener, and I'm expecting a lot of hopes and expectations from Dr. God that it materializes, and it is hoped that it will give the desired results that we are all looking forward to. And we have to visualize our policies beyond our national borders, as archives have global clientele. And sharing of information through networking of archival institution is a big challenge of the archives in the digital world of today. that is the 21st century. Thank you, Dr. God, for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Gautam, for such a very comprehensive presentation. Like it was very much reflective in your talk, your practical experience working in archive, National Archives, and teaching the students in archival study and other areas. So you touched upon each and every aspect of what is the state of archives in India and how the archival science education is being provided, and what various kind of initiatives have been undertaken. But unfortunately, those initiatives have not given the much needed shape in the context of a modern archival science education in India. I fully agree with you that archival science education in India is currently, it is very much visible from your presentation that we hardly have any concept of archival science education in India. These piecemeal courses from all the universities and departments are just trying to provide few glimpses of archives and some basic understanding of preventive conservation or archival handling, and some basic records keeping and other things. So in true sense, I can very well say, I made this statement in the beginning that we don't have any formal course in archival science education in India, and that has been very well proved from your presentation. We don't have any formal good modern archival science education program in this country. Not just traditional, but what we are in the digital age, and now many new dimensions have been added to the archival science. Like initially, we were focused more on taking care of archival material, preventive conservation, curative conservation, also cataloging and accessioning, cataloging, and also dissemination, record keeping, organization. But now, with the advantage of new technologies, we have new dimensions. Like when we talk about digitization, then there are various issues. Yesterday we talked about metadata capturing, we talked about ontology, we talked about semantic web, we talked about various kind of new knowledge representation tools and techniques. So in this new world of archives, I think we are lacking all those new innovative ideas and approaches. And I think in the real archival science education, we need to fulfill this all aspects of digitization. We also need to fulfill how digital archiving is to be done. And we also need to think of digital preservation. Like many of these archival resources are to be preserved for the posterity forever. And these materials cannot survive beyond a particular life. Every material media has a certain lifespan, and after that, how to migrate this to various digital form and putting them in a digital preservation platform for long-term preservation. I think we have not given any thought to it. So it's a very challenging task, and I'm glad you give a very good roadmap for understanding the current status, and also you have given a lot of new ideas to move ahead. And I think as you mentioned about Indian Institute of Heritage as a OSD, it is quite helpful me in understanding when we are planning Indian Institute of Heritage and putting out various kind of schools, and one of the school proposed is our School of Archival Studies. So that is going to be like totally modern way of dealing with archival science education in this country. And thank you, Meenaji, and
Thank you, Dr.
Jasbir,
God.
and thank you, Brinda, for all, and all of you for, and thanks, IGNC authorities for organizing this particular discussion. Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you, sir.
to our
Thank you.
member secretary, Dr. Sachidanand Joshi, for encouragement and support in organizing this event. Thank you very much.